Hello everyone, welcome to Enbreason, the daily current affairs news analysis by Team Enlight. The topics we shall be discussing today are Apera and its initiatives, Metaverse, good urbanization, Humboldt Penguin. So let's move on to the first topic for today, that is Apera and its initiatives and why was this in news. So Apera has initiated a program for farmers along the lines of Government of India's Startup India initiative, and this is in order to counter the lacunas in Indian agricultural export business, that is lack of innovative ideas, technology, and it also suffers from inadequate funding in the supply chain for export oriented agricultural products. So, what is APEDA? It is an apex body authorized under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to promote export of agricultural commodities and processed food products. And it was established under the government, under the Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Department Authority Act. Hence, it is a statutory body. So, aim of the Startup Agripreneurs program, first of all, to spark a revolution in agricultural exports and use it as a key driving force for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Secondly, to boost the agricultural exports by promoting new agricultural enterprises, contributing to the growth of basic units of agriculture by making it easier for entrepreneurs to source products directly from rural agricultural areas. So we'll discuss now certain problems with the Indian agri-export. The first one is high logistics costs, which makes them non-compatible in the international market. We spend almost 13% of our GDP in logistics. So India has ranked 44th out of 160 countries in the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index. Next is yield levels of majority of the crops in India remain much lower than the world average, and this is compounded further by fragmented land holdings. As we all know, the land holdings in India have been reducing in size continuously. So the amount which is produced by one farmer is very limited. Exporters of agro commodities are not successful due to uncertainty in the foreign trading regime. Then government's pro-consumer bias is always acting unfairly against the export of agricultural products. Also poor infrastructure and bottlenecks in the backward and forward linkages. Next is initiatives by APEDA to address the export related issues. First one is digitization of export oriented agricultural supply chain. It helps to bring transparency and it reduces the inefficiencies, corruption, etc. Financial assistance schemes, startup of agricultural products and infrastructure development schemes, etc., in order to ensure that spoilage does not happen and quality of the agricultural products is maintained. Next is interacting with certain state agricultural universities, Indian Council for Agriculture, etc., in order to guide several startups for international sanitary and phytosanitary requirements for the importing countries. Then using Internet of Things platform and to use it for agricultural value chain, including agriculture of precision agriculture, plant health monitoring using drone, etc. Then guiding exporters and farmers to face the challenges posed by global warming and also reoriented their farming, etc., with the changing needs of greenhouse emission gases and so on. Next is expediting the registration of new agricultural GI products, then develop an agricultural exchange portal. Then it regularly publishes e-Apex newsletters containing export marketing intelligence information, educating agribusiness about foreign trade policy, fiscal and financial initiatives given by the government. So all this will help in better exports, higher exports, and also better income for the Indian farmers. And hence, this policy becomes a key ingredient in doubling farmers' income in India. So next is metaverse. So why was this in news? So Mark Zuckerberg had recently said that he wishes to make Facebook a metaverse company. So first of all, what is metaverse? The term is used to describe vision in which the internet evolves into a virtual world. So this was first time conceptualized in 1992 by American novelist Neil Stephenson, and basically it combines the physical world and merges them with the virtual space. So it basically makes the internet as a 3D virtual space where individuals can go in and out and even interact with one another in real time. So examples of metaverse, so NFTs or non-fungible tokens, even cryptocurrencies to some part can be taken as such metaverse. Also games like Fortnite and Minecraft operate in virtual game environments, etc. Then other related terms to metaverse like meta lives, rise of virtual possessions, close connections between digital access and health and well-being, and technology's role in creativity and lifestyles. Meta spaces, the growing popularity of virtual venues and blended virtual real world space, redefining home, events, vacations, etc. Meta business, the uplift in game advertising and emergence of new retail frontiers. So all these terms are important mainly from prelims point of view. So the next topic for today is good urbanization, and why was this in news? So there was an article regarding how COVID reinforces that good urbanization is our most powerful technology for poverty reduction. So over here, this diagram shows what all accommodates in good urbanization and what all is important to bring in good urbanization. So first of all, let's go through the challenges in getting good urbanization. First challenge is the productivity side of good urbanization. That is, see, 50% of our population lives in rural areas but generate only 18% of the GDP. Hence, they are condemned to be in poverty itself. Then the expansion of cities, etc., has led to encroachment on agriculture and forest land. That is, our urbanization currently is unsustainable. Overcrowding and haphazard development of urban areas has led to recurring instances of urban floods, disease, fire in several cities, buildings, factories, and so on. Then rising demands for basic services such as clean water, public transportation, sewage, treatment, and housing. And this, you can say, has led to, poor housing facilities where everyone is not able to have these basic needs such as rise of slum areas and so on. Then as you can see in the next point, that is proliferation of slum due to policy planning and regulation deficiencies. Also, we are unable to provide low cost housing to a lot of people. Huge quantities of garbage is generated, and we are unable to really deal with this garbage which is generated, and it leads to severe health problems. Then environmental concerns such as urban areas are becoming heat islands, and rising air pollution, groundwater pollution, persistent water crisis, etc., are commonly seen in news. For example, Chennai is either reeling under floods, or it is under water crisis during the summer season. Then rising urban poverty, inequality, and unemployment, and these lead to uh, non-social elements like urban crimes like human trafficking, sexual assault, child labor, etc. Even substance abuse also may be a cause of depression, etc., because of rising inequality and unemployment in the urban areas. Then ULBs need clear delegation and functions, which is not there right now. The three Fs, as you can see: functions, functionaries, and funds. Then the state governments have not given enough autonomies to the urban local bodies. Low level of urban infrastructure and investment in capacity building. And there's a wide gap between the interstate disparity of urbanization. So few initiatives for good urbanization: 100 Smart Cities Mission, Amrut, Hriday, then Sardar Patel National Urban Housing Mission, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, even Swachh Bharat Mission, etc., can come under good urbanization initiatives. So what is the way forward? I will not be going into the complete details. You can read through from the slides. I will be just mentioning a few topics from here. That is inclusive cities, that is both the poor and lower income people should be able to live in the mainstream cities, and this whole concept of slum areas existing next to gated societies shows the disparity in city areas. So services like residence, health, water, transportation, education, etc., should be given at affordable prices and should be accessible to all people living in a city. Then urban governance. So we need to overall our urban governance, that is more power must be given to the urban local bodies right now, which is existing mainly with the state or the central government. Next is financing. For any development to take place, financing at the local level is very important. So devolution of not just powers but finances is important. Also, they should be given the rights to be able to charge various different taxes and so on. Next is local capacity building. Next, affordable housing is very important, as we have discussed previously also. This will help in preventing proliferation of slums and delivery of services for all, and especially sewage management and so on, so that there is healthy environment in the city. So, few prelims based facts from that article. 34% of India's current population is living in urban areas, according to the UN World Urbanization Prospects Report 2018. This is also important from prelims point of view. Then 26 of the world's 33 megacities are in developing countries because rural areas lack rule of law, infrastructure and productive commerce. So these are the pull factors or push factors why people are migrating to the cities. The next topic is Humboldt penguin. And over here, why was this in news? So, two new Humboldt penguin chicks joined the seven adult Humboldt penguins at Mumbai's Baikula Zoo. So, Humboldt penguins, the name is after the cold ocean current called the Humboldt Current, which is also called the Peruvian Current, and it is of low salinity ocean current that flows north along the western coast of South America, which we have all previously also discussed in the El Nino and La Nina concepts. Then habitat of these penguins, the Humboldt penguin is from South America and it breeds in the coastal Chile and Peru. When not raising the chicks, these penguins are known to travel long distances in the sea to find food, and these penguins can breed at any time of the year and their IUCN status is vulnerable. So thank you for listening and have a great day ahead.